something which is important for the NCTK exam, which you might have missed. If there is something like that, maybe you can ask. Otherwise, we'll start with the session. Okay, what is important? Hmm, see, let me share that. Explain the Python questions of an MCQ exam practice test. Okay, that's what we did, right? We have taken some previous year questions. So you mean from the portal? We have taken it from the portal as well. Just give a moment. Okay, can you guys see my screen? So we are not yet sure that when is going to be this your tier two, or you can call it as a second exam. This is the prerequisite exam that we are going to face now. So as you're all aware of, this will be the pattern for your exam: Java slash Python, and sorry, not this one, this one. Java slash Python would be of 20 questions. Okay, DBMS is of 10 questions. Aptitude will be having 10 questions. So the duration would be 60 minutes. There would be negative marking as well. So be careful while answering the question. Okay, and this is the DBMS part. We have covered this. Correct. So if you have a look at the data structure part, there will be time limit for each section individually. I'm not very sure about it, but ideally it shouldn't be. Maybe if someone has idea, is there a time limit for each and every question? Someone who has already given the exam might answer it in a better way. Can we switch between the sections? Like I never gave that exam before, so I don't have a much idea about it. But should be there on the on what we call that practice test. And if it's not, maybe you can ask some senior or mentor who have already given the MCTQ test. I never appeared for that, so because these are the kind of things which they usually tell before the exams. Or if they usually follow the same pattern, then that should be the consistent one. So maybe I will share these questions to the Suntech team, and they might try to answer it because they must be having someone else who are already working there or who might have given the test. right? So might they will be able to answer it. Any other doubts? Since we are talking about the according to me, yes, you should be able to switch between the section. But I cannot confirm it as of now. Okay, so the Java and the Python. Okay, if you have a look at the data structure, so these are the questions they usually might ask either in Java or in the Python, right? So we have covered stack. We have taken some question on stack, queues, non-linear data structure. When it comes to the non-linear data structure, they usually ask from the linked list. I have never seen a question on a trees or graph. They might ask like there is a person who's going right and left and then somewhere lost in the jungle, and so what is the data structure that we may use of, right? So the answer would usually be graph, right? But I have never seen a direct question over the graph, over the application. Even on the trees, I haven't seen it yet. Okay. Algorithms, yeah, they might ask the algorithms as well, like algorithms, you can call it as a search algorithm, sorting algorithm, binary search they can ask for, or maybe kind of a similar question on the binary search. Sorting algorithm is like they can ask for what type of a sorting algorithm it is, or maybe they will give a sorting algorithm and they will try to ask you to manipulate it. Right? There can be some sort of a questions might be asked. Okay. Apart from that, they can ask from an algorithm techniques, what kind of a techniques you guys can use of. So that's all. So the total number of questions would be 5 to 6. I guess that is for the different one, but yeah, they might ask these topics in the same section as well, okay? Because we do have a Python, and within the Python they can include the data structure questions, because the data structure is not they are going to ask it specifically, but yeah, they may include in the sorry not in this section as well. Okay, so total would be 60 minutes, 40 questions. Keep track of time, right? Okay, how is it going to be? Is it going to be in the proctor view? Will they ask you to switch on your videos? I'm not aware of it. If any one of you, okay, and you have to give it from the okay, and you have to give it from the your home itself, right? It should be all together online. No centers will be allocated, right? Okay. Again, that depends. Like, what is the minimum marks that I cannot tell about, because they haven't set a minimum criteria, right? It would be like kind of let's say your friend has scored mark 60, right? 60 out of 60 he has scored. So then again the average will become higher and the cutoff will go on the higher side. But if we talk about the paper level was high enough, right? The average would be low and the cutoff would be much on the lower side. So we cannot claim it before the exam. Right? Will we get the data structure question in the section one along with Java Python? You might get it because even we have discussed this. If you have a look at the previous whatever I have discussed the PDF, whatever shared PDF I have, so we have taken the questions on a stack, linked list. Even the very first session of the Python, we have taken over it. Right? So yeah, you may see the Java or the Python along with the data structure. But yeah, they won't be in-depth question. They would be just kind of just touch over the areas, right? Any more doubts, please? But the cutoff, even I'm not aware of the cutoff. We can just have a look. Maybe we can get some idea for the 2020. I guess it says it's a 70%. I'm not very sure about it. This is 65%. But yeah, again, they have a different pattern over here. So
Sir, explain previous question paper, sir.
that's what we have done. We have already taken most of the previous questions, whatever I got from any of the source. And if you have any questions, maybe you can put in the chat section, we can discuss it. Because we have covered most of the questions, whatever sources I got for the previous year questions, we have covered it. The cutoff wasn't given after a couple of weeks, so they didn't declare the cutoff, but the results were announced. Right? So there is no such specific cutoff they have given. When will be the final round two? Okay, when will be the round two? So the round two would be around like might be due to COVID. They might take it a bit late, but yeah, it should be either on the June or July. We don't know the basics of Python where we can study. Okay, did you opt for Python? Guys, if we have given a choice, okay, inside the between the Java and Python. So whichever the language we know, we should be opting for, first of all. And if you have opted for, so I would say just go through the previous year question papers, whatever we have shared, right, with you. Just go through this. Wherever you feel any kind of a difficulty, Google it, try to find out that, okay, let's say we have given an override function. Okay. So if we are given an override function, what does an override function is? Right? Try to Google it, try to find it. Right? Okay, hash table. Yes, we can explain
Sir,
that.
sir.
Yeah, go on.
Sir, most of the questions are dealing about they are giving about paragraph and they are saying giving option inheritance, encapsulation. We are unable to get the answer, sir. Can you please tell us, sir, how they will ask the questions based on it? I'm unable to answer the questions like that, sir.
Okay. Maybe we can discuss the inheritance encapsulation, whatever it is. So maybe we'll cover that in the today's class. Okay.
They are giving an example that something related to something, but we are unable to answer it, sir. Whether it comes under inheritance or encapsulation. That is the problem.
Yeah. Okay. I got it, your concerns. So we will discuss it. Might be after that you will be able to answer the questions.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so as such, they haven't declared any cutoff yet. Okay, maybe we can discuss it later. First, we can discuss about the OOPS concept. So that will cover everything. And after that, we can have a look at the hash table, because from the hash, it's usually a easy question. And I have seen so many questions over the hash table. They usually put up one question on the hash table, and it's like a 30 seconds Takes hardly takes 30 seconds to do a hash question. And it's an easy problem, right? So we shouldn't lose our marks on the easy questions. Right? Okay, so maybe we can discuss the OOPS concept first. Okay, for the Python basics, maybe you can refer the GFG is also a good portal. I would suggest to go through the GFG, but if you go through the GFG now, it's a vast. So I would suggest you to go through the previous year questions as of now. And okay, maybe we can discuss it later. So what exactly the OOPS concepts are? Like OOPS concept is a vast concept. Okay. Most of the companies ask questions on this only. Whether you talk about any language, there would be questions on the OOPS concept for sure. They talk about any exam, there would be a questions on the OOPS concept. Even when you go for interview, they will gonna ask you which language you know. Okay, tell me what are the OOPS concept. Okay, how the language is an object oriented, what are the object, what do you mean by an object oriented. So all these questions appears while giving interview in the exams, and you need to answer those. So you cannot skip those, and these are really important topics. So maybe we can quickly start with this. Okay, I haven't prepared any notes, but yeah, maybe that's a good notes. We can go along with that. So, like the other general programming language, Python is also object oriented. When we say an object oriented, it has an OOPS concept. And when I say OOPS concept, it has inheritance. It has like the C doesn't have all these functionalities. We cannot inherit a class in a C. We cannot extend a class in a C. We cannot implement a class, right? But a Python supports all of those things. It allows us to develop an object oriented, and we can design many applications along with that. So Python is the thing we can easily create and use objects and the classes. So whenever we can create an object and a classes and play along with that, that's an OOPS concept. Object-oriented paradigm is to design the program using the class and object. An object is related to the real-world entities such as books, house, pencils is an object. The OOPS concept focuses on writing reusable code. Right? So what is the purpose of an OOPS concept? Let's say I want to, why do we use an inheritance? If you talk about an inheritance, let's say I have designed a car, then I can, what I want is, let's say I have four cars, four variety of a car. Okay, so car 1, car 2, car 3, car 4, all these cars will have the gears, right? So I can call a base class, which would be a car, okay? And after this, whatever the extra functionality I have in my car 1, I can include in that, right? Whatever the extra functionality I have in the car 2, I can just include in that, right? So you don't have to write the code again and again, right? You are making use of an old car, which is a, let's say, maybe you can, so let me just give a brief about it. So let's say you have a car, okay, it has several functionality, like it has steering, it has gears, okay. These are the common functionality that each and every car should have. Okay, it has brakes, it has clutch, okay. And when I say about a car 1, okay, so what does the car 1 represent, right? So maybe we can inherit. So whatever this car has, this car also has, but there, let's say there is a TV attached to the car, or maybe we can call it as an LED screen attached to a car, right? So this is not a compulsory thing, right? Each and every car shouldn't have this. Okay, so this, when we are defining this car 1 class, what we'll do is we'll just inherit. will just inherit whatever this car have, okay? And these car properties will get diffracted in this car one as well. Right? So let's say I have a car two as well. Okay, so the specialty of a car two, it has what do you call that? It has an airbags. Okay, so every car shouldn't have an airbag, right? Okay, so and it also can inherit from a car itself, right? So whatever the property, so if I talk about the properties of a car too, it's like it has steering, it has gears, it has brakes, it has clutch, and as well as it has airbags. So we are using an inheritance over here, right? So major principle of an object-oriented class are system below: class, object, method, inheritance, polymorphisms, class abstraction, encapsulations. Right? These are the things we'll go through. Class, you guys, everyone knows. Class can be defined as a collection of an object. It is a logical entity that's some specific attributes in a method. For example, if you have an employee class, then it should be contain an attribute and a method, an email ID, a name, an age, a salary. It's always lie under that. Okay. Object is an entity, has a state and a behavior. It may be a real object like the mouse, keyboard, chair, table, pen. So whatever you can think of, it's basically those. Okay. So everything in the Python is an object. Almost everything has attributes and a method. All the functions have a built-in attribute. So maybe we can have a look at the class. Okay, so we have defined a class car. We are defining a function which is init. Okay. So init and the model name in the year we have passed over here. So model name, we are initializing a variable over here. The model name is Toyota and the year we have purchased in, it's a 2016. Right? So what it will give me C1.display. So C1.display will give me the self.model name. Model name is coming from here. We have initialized it. We are creating a parameters constructor over here. Okay. So we get the model name as a Toyota and the name as a 16. So this is an object example. Okay, let's talk about the method. So what is the method? Method is a function that is associated with an object. In the Python, method is not unique to a class instance. Any object can have the methods. Okay. Okay. So basically, we do have in the Java, if you guys have seen, we do have a this, right? So this dot model and this dot here. So this is why we use self. The self works as the same way what we have in the Java as this. Okay. In the class, why we use self. Okay, so the self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class. Right? So whatever the instance we have, it will basically represent to those and is used to access the variable that belongs to the class. Okay? So whenever we want to access a variable which belongs to the class, we need to use a self keyword. Is that clear, guys? So how will you bind it if you, okay, let's say you don't use it, right? So how will you bind to that? If you won't use it, how the model name will get defined? Because we need to use this, right? So we need this. If you won't get this, how we gonna bind it to the model name? How will you define the model name inside that, right? Since we do have a same name over here, whatever the name we are using, it's the same. If you have a look at this, the names are same itself. How will you distinguish whether this name we are indicating, right? So we need to pass a self over here. That so that we will be able to identify, okay, this dot model name is equal to the self. This works as how this works. In the Java, we have this. In the Python, we do have self. Otherwise, will you write it as the model name is equal to the model name? That doesn't make sense, right? Clear? Guys, any doubts? Is it current object? Yes, it is. This one is the current object that we have created. That is the C1. Okay, so let's move on to the inheritance. Okay, so the inheritance is the most important aspects of an object-oriented programming, which simulates the real world concept of inheritance. Okay, so it specifies that the child object acquires all the properties and the behavior of the parent object. Right, this is what we have discussed. The child object acquires every property of the parent object. By using inheritance, we can create a class which uses all the properties and the behavior of another class. The new class is also known as a derived or a child class, and those who uses properties are acquired is known as a base class or a parent class. It provides the reusability of a code. That's what we have discussed for the inheritance. Is that clear, guys? Any doubts on inheritance? I have already given the example for that. Okay. Okay. So let's move on to the next. What is the polymorphism? Polymorphism contains two words, poly and the morphs. Okay, poly means many, morphs by share. By the polymorphism, we understand that one task has to be performed in a different way. Okay, so today we'll be covering whatever the doubts you guys have. Maybe you guys can ask. That's the agenda we have because we are almost done with the concept. If you don't have any doubts, we have some questions, so maybe you can take up those. Right? So you have a class animals and all the animals speak, but they speak different. Here the speak behavior is a polymorphic in sense it depends on the animals. Like so the abstract animal concept does not actually speak, but they speak specific animals like the dogs, cats have a concrete implementation of an action speak. So what does that indicate? Like everyone has a way of defining, right? Everyone has a way of speaking. Everyone has a different way of speaking. Okay, so what is an encapsulation? So encapsulation is basically also as an essential aspect of object-oriented programming. It is used to restrict access.
Sir, polymorphism.
Polymorphism you didn't understand, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what a polymorphism indicates, like an object can be of many forms. Just think about it. Let's say by the polymorphism, we understand the one task has to be performed in a different way. You have a class animal, and all animals speaks, right? But you don't know how they speak, but they speaks in a different way. Right? We'll discuss about more. We have an overriding, we do have an overloading as well. So when I say about the overriding, it means you can have the function. Okay, they might be of a different arguments that we are passing to those, right? Then it's an example of a polymorphism. So till here you can consider it as an animal. Okay, animal, there can be various variety of an animal, right? You can have a dog, you can have cats, you can have squirrel. Whatever you have, they have their own way of speaking, right? So when we talk about the speaking, like someone is making the different sound, somebody else is making the different sound. But all of them you can consider it, they are just speaking, right? So along with the examples, we can get the clarification for that. Right? Encapsulation is also an essential aspect of an object-oriented programming. It is used to restrict access to the methods and the variables. In the encapsulation, the data and the code are wrapped together within a single unit from being modified by accident. So what does encapsulation provide? Encapsulation provides an extra layer of security to your code, right? So basically, how does that works is it restricts the methods and the variables. That's what we have a getter and a setter method. Okay, so what exactly we do is this class can only access these methods, and if we wrap the data and the code together, that is called as an encapsulation. Usually, that's a good technique whenever you work in a, let's say you are working in an organization where you need to deal with the security team or someone else too, right? So you need to take care of an encapsulation as well. When we talk about the data structure and the encapsulation, both are synonyms. Both are nearly synonym because the data structure is achieved through the encapsulation. Abstraction is used to hide the internal details and show the functionalities. Abstraction something means given to the so that the name captures of those mentions of what a function or a whole program does. So next. Guys, any doubts? It was more of a theoretical thing that we have discussed so far. Okay, maybe we can have one or two examples of that so that we could give a clarity. Before that, maybe we can have a look at the hash table. Guys, any doubts if you have, feel free to just ping me in the chat. Okay, so before that, we are discussing a hash table. So what a hash table is? Hash table are a type of a data structure in which the addresses or the index of a data elements is generated from a hash function. Right? We have discussed few examples on it. Right? If you have seen, we have a percentage modulo, we are given some values and we need to find the answer wherever the goal is address. These are the questions which were already have been asked inside in the emphatic exam. So there is a high chance that these questions might get repeated with the different values. Right? And those were the easy questions. Try to answer these. That won't take more than 30 seconds if you know the concepts. But if you don't know, you won't get it. Like it's not like you will keep on hit and trial and just get the concept, but that was easy concept, guys. Okay, so how hash table works is that makes accessing data faster. And the index value behaves as a key for the data values. In other words, the hash table stores the key value pairs, but the key is generated through a hashing function. So the search and the insertion of a data elements much becomes faster. Okay, let's have a look how exactly they are creating it. So we'll get a better clear understanding. The dictionary data type represents the implementation of an hash table. Okay, so the dictionary data type we have in the Python, and that internally uses a hash table. The keys in the dictionary satisfy the following thing. The keys of a dictionary are the hash table. So if you see in the dictionary, we usually store a key value pair, right? Let's say in the Java, we do have a map. In the Python, on the other side, we do have this dictionary. So the keys of the dictionary are hash table, which generated by using a hashing function. Okay, what is a hashing function? Hashing function can be anything, right? It's not like there is no as such specific rule, but it should generate a unique result for each unique value supplied to the hash function, right? So there would be a function which will give me some values, and that would be unique depending on the values you have provided, right? So let's have a look at it over here. To access the dictionary element, you can use the familiar square bracket index. So what we have is the name Zara age 7 class first. Accessing the dictionary with its keys. Right? So how we are going to, so dictionary of name will give me the dictionary. Okay, dictionary of name. What exactly it gonna give me? Zara. Right? Dictionary of age. Okay, so if you have a look, the above code is executed and it produces the following results. What are the results it's going to produce? The Zara and the 7. So just to be give a short overview of it, how exactly the dictionaries or how exactly the hash table works is, let's say, yes, there were some examples as well. If you have a look over here, okay, so maybe we can have a look at it over here. Let's talk about the infinity examples only. So we'll get the understanding that how the hashing question asks. Can anyone try to answer this? Guys, guys, be careful with the wrong answers. Okay, so most of you guys say C. Correct. So the answer is as well C, but how exactly are we going to identify it? So hash, okay. We have option number 4, 7, we have 16, we have 9, we have 17, we have 22. Okay, what is the modulo 4 modulo 4? 0. 4 modulo 7 will give me 3. 4 modulo 16 will give me 0. 4 modulo 9, sorry, 9 modulo 4 will give me 1. 17 modulo 4 will again give me 1. 22 modulo 4 will give me 2. Right? These are the options I will get. So now, if I have a look, identify for which number the collision will not occur. So they say will not occur. So the collision shouldn't occur over there. Okay. So what are the places the collision is not occurring? This place, right? So because the 0 and 0 is getting repeated. Okay. If the 0 and 0 is getting repeated, that means there will definitely be a collision. 1 and 1 is getting repeated, so there will definitely be a collision. If you have a look, we just left out with the two numbers, that is 3 and 2, where the collision will not occur. Okay, if the collision will not occur, so we can already we are able to identify that 7 and 22 is the only numbers where the collision will not occur. Right? So that's, I would call it as an easy question, and it can get you 1 mark. So it's a easy question. Don't try to like mess up with these questions, such kind of questions. So I guess that's the only question I have on the PBMS. Remaining we have already discussed. Okay, this was the question they have asked on the graph. So the June is visiting to a zoo, and after roaming some time, he finds that he loses his way. John wants to reach to the entry of the exit gate. He remembers Ben's ice cream is a landmark which he saw. While strolling in the zoo, Joe finds there are 3 ways to reach the Ben's ice cream from his current location. And from the Ben's ice cream, there are 4 ways to reach the exit or an entry gate. So this is exactly same with what the Google Maps does is. And the Google Maps also internally uses a graph data structure. So which data structure we need to use? It's a graph. Right? So can I have a look at the explanation as well? So most of the questions from this we have already discussed. Okay. Any doubts, guys? This is a question on a binary search, and these are the questions which have been already asked in the Infinity exams. Any doubts, guys? Or anything else you want me to discuss? Else we'll go with the questions. Okay, so let's try to answer this. What should be the answer for this? Easy questions, but yeah, a bit tricky one. That's why I have taken it. So that you won't end up getting -1. Okay. Okay, so the answer is basically it should be these 4 weeks in the caps only. But what exactly we guys think of? If A or B, that means true or false, it will give me true, and true and false should return false. But that's not the case in a Python. In the Python, AND operator has a higher precedence, okay, than the OR operator. So it's evaluated first. So the B and C will return me to the false. Now the OR operator will get evaluated. Hence true, hence evaluates it to the true. So the condition becomes true, and the gates for gates in the caps will be printed. So the answer would be gates for gates, this one. Is that clear? Uh, More informative, but yeah, you guys need to remember this. A key point you can call it. What should be the answer? Yeah, 3. Yeah. How about others, guys? Do you guys have exam tomorrow, the day after tomorrow? You guys opted for this? Correct. So the answer would be 3. In the Python, the precedence order is not. It's first node, then N, and in the last, we consider it as a O. So the first, we do have a node of Z. So the node A or B, so that means A naught will give me false or false. It will not going to be true. Okay, so it will again a false statement. We go to the else part. Not A will return me false, not B will return me true, and C will return me false. But how does that work? First of all, we will take not B, which is basically true, and false will again return me false. A false and false will again return me false. Right? False, all false will again return me false. Not A or B or not B and A. So try to answer this. Not A is the first priority that is going to be. So not A will be the false. Okay, we do have one more not over here. So not B and A. Not B will give me true and true will return me definitely true. So now we end up with a false or okay, B is again a false, but it will give me true. Right? This part will give me true. So true or false will give me true, and true or false will again give me true. So the answer will be 3 will not go to the else on itself. Okay, good. One. So it would be 111 because what exactly we are doing over. Okay, so we are calling it as an ECC, and this is the parameterized constructor that we are calling, but this dot ID is assigned to the 111. Now this we are not going will be able to explain it since we are creating an object for this. So that's what the explanation says is instantiation of the class account automatically calls the method init because it's a constructor that gets called automatically and passes the object as a self parameter. 111 is assigned to the data attribute of the object called ID. The value 555 is not returned in the object as it is not assigned to the data attribute at all of the class object. Then we have definitely got the 555 as an output. So the output would be 111. That clear? So what should be the output for this? E A0145. Correct, correct. How about others? Others preparing for the exam? Yeah, good, good. 0145. Yes, guys. The answer for this question is the 0145 itself. That will give me 01. For the later on, we have 4 to 6. That will give me from 4 to 5. So that would be the answer. Okay, let's try to answer. Good, good, good. So when we say one, basically it will pick up the element at the first index. So we'll start from the zeroth index, and that would be at the first index. When we say it has a -1 index, so when we say it's a -1, basically we are going to start it from the back, and that will return me k. Good job, guys. Okay, what should be the output for this? Okay, good. Okay, you want me to show the previous question? So this is the previous question. In the meantime, I have shared the PDF with you as well. So if you want, you guys can also have a look. Right. Okay, question number five. For the question number five, what we have is name list. What is that the one represents? Basically the number, the name at the one. So we'll start from the zeroth index. That is zero, that is one. So now we reached to this point. Now what it says is we need to pick up the minus one. So when do we say we need to take the minus one? That means we need to start it from the back, and whatever the first element is, that's only we need to pick. So what is the first element we have? Minus k is the, sorry, k is the first element. So the answer would be k. That's what the explanation also says is the index position minus one represents either last element in the list or the last character in the string. In the above given name list of names, the name list, the index one represents the second element, i.e. the second string pratik, and the index minus one represents the last character of a string pratik. So the output is k. Is that clear? Okay, for the question number six, it will give an error. Why it will give an error? Because we have a name list which are Harsh, Pratik. I have already posted. Kindly check the chat section. Harsh, Pratik, Bob, Dhruv we have. When we say name list dot index of GFG, is there anyone who got it from the chat section? Because I have posted it a few minutes back only. Guys, did anyone receive the PDF? Okay, I guess some of you have received it, some of you said no. I will again post it. Right? Maybe because you have a network interruption, so that's why. Okay, I have posted it again. Can you check? Okay, so name list dot index of GFG. Right? So whatever the GFG we do have is, so GFG we don't have over here, so that will give me a value error. And as the GFG is not there in the list, so the task of the index is to find the position of a supplied value in a given list. In the above program, the supplied value is geeks for geeks, and the list is named list. As the geeks for geeks not present in the list, it will throw me an exception. What should be the answer for this? I hope you guys have received it now. Okay, good. Five. Okay, no problem. Okay, check. It should be there now. Okay, for the gauge code, it's 1234. Okay, so the gauge code dot append 5678. So how it will get appended? It's like 1234. Then we'll be having it would give me a result like this. Now, if I try to find out the length of a gauge code, so it will consider one, two, three, four, and this whole object will be a fifth one, right? Because they will consider it as a single list, right? So total the length will be given return as five. The length of a gate code will be five. Print gate code, whatever the gate code will be there, it's like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, and it will be in that menu. So the task of the append method is to append the past object into an existing list, but instead of passing the list to the method, appended method will not merge the two lists. The entire list which will be passed added as an element, so the output is 5. Any doubts, guys? What should be the answer for this? Okay, these are the options. Then should the answer be option B itself? Because we do have a temporary variable which is basically stores the key value pair. Okay, the key value pair are stored in that menu. So the GMG1, Facebook 2, Google 3. Now we are going to print it. So we'll be iterating inside the temp variable. Okay, and we'll be printing the key values. So it actually doesn't maintain an order. When we talk about the dictionary, they are an ordered set, right? So we can call we do with Java. If we talk about in Java, we do have a set. The shapes and similar works as a dictionary, but the set basically stores a single value. They store a key value there. Can consider as a map, okay, which is not a sorted one. So any key value pair can be added at any location within the dictionary. Any of the output make up in the result. We cannot predict a certain output. It can be either of it can be any of the above, whatever we have. But the only thing that you need to talk about that you can be sure about is the Google. With respect to the Google, there will be three. With respect to the GLG, there will be one. With respect to the Facebook, there will be a value three. But yeah, they can be in any order. The order is not defined at all. Okay, what should the output for this? Guys, any doubts in the previous one? Okay, what's the output for this? Okay, error. Okay, so the answer would be an empty, as one would expect attempting to access the members of the list using an index that exceeds the number of members. Right, so examples attempting to access the list then in the whole list results in an index error. However, attempting to access a slice, okay, of a list at a starting index that exceeds the number of members in the list will not result in an index error. It will simply return an empty list. Does that sound good? Yes, so definitely there won't be any error that it will just return an empty string. Okay, what should be the output for this one? Okay, okay. Then be careful, it's star into minus 3. Okay, so it would return me empty list again. Why the expression? Star into like whatever the list you have into n. If n is an integer appended, n copies of the list. Correct. Empty list because there is a negative integer. Correct. If you don't have in a positive integer, that means the list will get repeated 3 number of times. So the copies of a list elements in the original list, if n is a negative integer or 0, it will return me an empty list. Else, if n is a positive list, the element will be added n times to the original list. Right? So since there we have a minus 3, if it would have in plus 3, the same element will keep on repeating for the same number of times. Is that clear? And they will get appended to the list. Okay, so these are the questions we have. Okay, and any open questions you wanted to ask? Those who doesn't have, maybe they guys can drop off. Okay. Okay, guys, best of luck. Before you guys go, uh, try to attempt as much as question you can, but be keep in mind that there is a negative marking as well. Right? And be careful while attempting the question because whoever has the seems easy to do, try to attempt those questions first because the time is also a major criteria over there. If you have a look at the time, we have 40 questions and you need to do all those 40 questions in 60 minutes. So you would be having around 1.5 minutes around to do each and every question. Okay, and whatever the doubts you guys have, maybe you can reach out to the mentor if I will not be available. So he will surely help you out. Right? All the best for your exam, guys. Do well. Okay, how to find a static, local, and instance variable. So the static variables are those variables which are directly attached to the class. Local variables are the any kind of variable that you are going to create, okay, which doesn't directly refers to the class, which would be a local variable. As the same, when we say instance variable, these are the objects when you create. So these are the instance variables you create. For more, maybe you can have a look at the questions we have discussed, or you can refer the GFG. There are several number of questions you can find with a proper explanation because right, but these are the important questions. Okay, if no other questions, maybe you guys can drop off. Thank you guys. Have a good day and do well. See you working in Infosys. Bye bye.